You beautiful humans of the cardboard, you. Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I've got another deck profile for you. This one, I'm actually very excited for. I feel like I've really legitimately found some spice, some goo, if you will, and the ban list that just came out earlier today literally just made it even more legit, in my opinion. It's a really cool deck. You've already seen the thumbnail. You've already seen what we're looking at here. But I legitimately feel like I am onto something here. Is it going to be the best possible variant of Sprite? I don't know about that, but I do think it's way more legit than anybody's looked at. I cannot tell you. I legit have not seen a single piece of video anywhere on YouTube or anywhere else about this variant of Sprite. And I think it's highly underrated, and I think it could be a legit route to go, especially since they just lost, I mean, literally their best boss monster in Totally Awesome. I know they didn't completely lose it, but they have to go so much more roundabout and less resource efficient and have less grind game to make it now, which is just way worse. So, like, yeah, let's just jump into it. This deck's so cool. So, starting off here, it's World Chalice. So we got to start off with the World Chalice package. I will start by saying I'm not entirely sold on the exact ratios that I have right now, specifically for the World Chalice lineup. I'm honestly not 100% sure where I'm going to end up here, but this is just what I'm testing with. I do think, at least for early stages of testing, it's better to just play a higher ratio of the cards you're more curious about, because you're going to learn much more quickly, like which cards are better to draw, which cards are better to not draw, and in how much quantity, you know, how often and all that stuff. So this is the lineup I'm playing. Triple copies of Lee, triple copies of World Chalice, or World Legacy World Chalice, triple Crowned. You play Crowned because they have the level 2, the level 3, and the level 4 vanillas. And this is Sprite, so you got to focus on the level 2s. And also this card, like Unbricks World Legacy. These two in hand is like full combo, which is really cool. And she's huge, 2100 booty. And then World Legacy, or World Chalice Guard Dragon. This card's weird. It's kind of an in-between card. I do think this ratio will probably go in between playing like 2-2-2 and cutting him to what we have here, the 10 monster lineup. But it's honestly just going to take a lot more testing to figure out which one, what ratio specifically is optimal. Obviously, if you don't need to know these cards, Lee on normal summon searches you a World Chalice monster, so any of these three. And then if it's in the grave, you can send a monster from your hand or field to grave to add itself back to hand, which is really good in the grind game, just helping you rotate resources really well. You have World Legacy World Chalice. This card's awesome. If it has been normal summoned or set and leaves the field, it'll actually special summon 2 World Chalice monsters straight from the deck. So that gets you 2 level 2s. If you haven't even gone into either of these in the turn yet, you're still triggering Lee to search again. Sometimes you haven't even, or well, not have it normal summoned, but you would just grab like Guard Dragon as well. That's why we play him. He kind of adds to the end board potentially. This card's also an interruption on board. I don't plan on leaving it on board very often, but I guess that's possible. And the other cool thing is on the next main phase after it was sent to the graveyard, he just banishes himself to just search a World Legacy card, which is really cool. We have a couple of really strong ones in the deck, so that's awesome follow-up. That's one of my favorite things here, is that both of these offer you really cool follow-up. Obviously, Crown is just a vanilla. She's kind of just facilitated by this, and I almost thought about playing Unexpected Die in the list as well, but you'll see when we get later on. We have other cards that kind of just function way better than Die, so it just felt like filler at that point, like more extenders that you didn't necessarily need. I am playing 3 of this one, even though it looks pretty bad, because in the grind game, I want to have copies to summon. Also, in certain combos, it feels like you have to go through one early and still summon another one off of World Chalice later anyway. So sometimes you just go through literally 2 in turn 1, and you still want that last one still in deck to be able to abuse with like another Lee or another World Chalice play on another turn, potentially. But needs more testing. And then Guard Dragon, he has a hand trap effect. He can negate any card that targets a linked monster. Hint, our end board is like completely linked. Everything's going to be linked up, so it's not too crazy. And then in grave, he can banish himself to target a normal monster and special summon in defense mode to a zone a link monster points to. So this literally just rewarns her again, which is pretty cool. So like you can add him to hand off of the Lee, then later in the turn use Lee when she's in grave to like add herself back so she's loaded in hand for next turn, and get him in grave once you've already got Crowned, and that gives you another 2 body on the field. Pretty cool. So that's kind of the rundown of how everything's going to function. One more thing as far as rulings go. not even rulings, but like synergy. World Legacy World Chalice might be like, that's a level 5, John, what the heck? We're never summoning Guard Dragon, by the way, so like, don't even worry about him. All of the sprite cards that lock you only lock you out of special summoning. Anything but level, rank, or link 2s. We are never special summoning this card. Ideally, we're just tribute summoning it. So there you go. That kind of gives you a better deal, or normal summoning it, whatever you want to call it. So there's our 10 monster lineup. Definitely could end up being smaller, but yeah, hopefully that's a good, hopefully you guys got the explanations there. Good there. Moving on to the Sprite package. Super standard here, I think. Triple blue, triple jet, and I have one red, one carrot. Carrot could definitely be cut for Pixies, or like I said, if we end up cutting down on the World Chalice lineup, I would like to include Pixies in the list because we are on Runic cards. You guys will see that in a little bit. So yeah, that could definitely be something as well. I'd like it for certain situations. Our board does not really have any particularly large monsters on it, so really threatening, easy to summon big monsters can be really scary at times. So I definitely feel like that could be a thing. But yeah, basic Sprite stuff. Don't really need to explain that at this point. Then for the spells, that's all the monsters I have in the deck right now. Continuing with the Sprite stuff, just to sum that up, you know, the triple starter and the 1 smashers, just basic stuff. Not really much to say here. This card's crazy. This card's 1-card combo, and it's actually pretty cool. You can even argue that it's even stronger than like what you were doing with Sprite before, in the sense that it actually gives you even more follow-up, and this is a card that's getting you multiple bodies before you ever even have to normal summon. So seeing this with like the World Legacy World Chalice is like so strong. It's really, really good. All right, from there, Runic cards. Basic Runic lineup, I would say as well. The 1 fountain, you only need 1 unless you're playing pure, then I'd play 2. Triple tip, triple freezing curse. Well, I guess we can move these down. We'll leave this up here, but yeah, triple tip, best one aside from the fountain itself. Triple freezing curse, triple flashing fire, and triple destruction. All of these are insanely good for different reasons, but they're all good no matter what. Because worst case scenario, they are all just a level 2 body without your normal summon. Again, another like seeing any of these with World Legacy World Chalice, really, really good. Yeah, so good. They get you the level 2s, they're getting you draws, they help you grind, and also it's an engine that also just inherently helps the deck play second way better. Now, we'll see. I still think tier looks really scary, and if they just keep setting up like insane boards, obviously this is not the best engine to combat like really insane boards, but it's a really good engine to combat mediocre boards. So I do think even more so now against other Sprite decks, this engine's just too good versus them. They all come up, they're all good. It's Runic stuff. They're good right now. They really are. And I like this because in a 40-card deck, playing 12 of the quick plays gives you, I believe, around a 50% chance to open 2, and that's where you get the ability to like draw cards really early in the duel, which is really good. And offering you even more grind game. I do play the one called, it's just called, I kind of had like 39 cards on the list. I didn't know what the last card to play is. This could also be Pixies. I just like called, and tier looks like it's going to be even better, like relatively, because now even like Sprite isn't generally going to be competing with it quite as well overall. So it looks like tiers could run away as the best deck by far, and it's going to get way better very quickly. So yeah, terrifying. And also helps us play. Ash on World Legacy World Chalice is like super annoying, so like also kind of bypassing that could also be huge. And then we get to like the World Legacy cards. 2 copies of World Legacy Succession, 1 copy of World Legacy Awakens, and 1 copy of World Legacy Sorrow. These are kind of your payoffs. Well, these more of the payoffs. This card's just kind of a engine card more so. But yeah, this card just targets any monster in the graveyard and special summons it to a zone a link monster points to. So it's just a solid extender if you hard draw it, but also being able to search it off of either the World Legacy World Chalice on the next turn as another follow-up, or being able to set it off of Lib and be activatable in that turn is really strong. So this card definitely comes up as a really nice extender card, for sure. I don't think 3 is necessary there. I think 2 is totally fine. And then for these, Awakens pretty much just lets you do a quick link summon on your opponent's turn. Really good because we're using Lib in the deck. Absolutely insane. So yeah, you're going to like make an Oppo or maybe make a Unicorn, get a removal there, or get a negate there, while also linking off Lib, and then Lib is going to non-target shuffle any card your opponent controls back into the deck as well. Lib is insane. We're essentially replacing what Toad was for the deck with Lib. That's kind of like the idea here. And then World Legacy Sorrow. This card's insane. Again, this is a deck where if you're like, we used to lose the Dark Ruler no more, Toad can't respond to Dark Ruler, but this card absolutely can. And that's what makes this variant even more interesting, is we now have an Omni Negate that not only is just in the form of a Toad, so we still lose to Super Poly, we still lose to Dark Ruler no more, we still lose to Artemis Slay or whatever, but this card does not. This card can shut down all those except for Super Poly, but I think depending on the board we end on, we don't give them like a really good super, unless they play like weird Super Poly targets like the Adignister fusion or something else. I honestly don't know, but yeah, it's really not that easy. So yeah, these two work out quite well. And your board is like so adaptable. You don't have to end on the same board every time at all, which I like as well. So like there could be certain matchups where you can just adjust your board for what you're expecting. All right, into the extra. The 40 cards on the dot, again, it's just ratios at this point. The idea is there. I just need to like test more and learn ratios. Link 1s, Imduk and Almirage. Pretty standard here. Imduk comes up because the Crowned, the vanilla, unbricks your World Legacy World Chalice, because this card takes any normal monster, and once per turn, this gives you an additional normal summon for a World Chalice. So you literally just go like normal summon Crowned, link into this guy. He gives you an additional normal summon, which you tribute summon over the Imduk, and then you link off your World Legacy World Chalice straight for Almirage. And then he triggers to summon two of your guys out of the deck. That includes a Lee that has not even triggered its effects yet, and probably another Crowned. So it kind of just unbricks that. There's a world that if we cut down on ratios, these are not nearly as necessary, because I just won't expect to draw hands like that. Like if I have 3 other cards in hand, like what are the odds that none of those 3 cards offer me any extension? We literally play like 18 or 15 other cards that like give you an extender through that at least. And that's if we don't decide to add something like Monster Reborn to the list, which I think is solid. Just a heavy link deck. Reborn's just really good. But yeah, so Almirage normally just comes up to clear the World Legacy World Chalice off the field. But we'll see. Those are potentially wiggleable slots. Next up for the links, only other Sprite card I'm missing is the second Elf. And I'm not even missing it. I just, you know my boy Chris, he plays Tier. So he has the other Elf in his Tier deck right now. So I would play 2 Elf. I would play 2 Lib, the World Keyblade Master, 1 IP Masquerena, and 1 Pit Knight early. I would also love to have a couple more Nightmares in the deck, but again, it kind of just depends. If we have to play those Link 1s, then it definitely pulls on our space here. I love double Lib. Like I said, it gives me, it kind of just replaces that same role that Toad had in previous lists. As like your main source of interruption. But yeah, Elf's obviously insane. We know about him. Lib is crazy. If you don't know about this card, you cannot make this card unless you already have a World Legacy card in the graveyard, because of Sprite being able to summon out Lib straight out of the deck with like Gigantic and then Elf, or sorry, not Lee, search you World Legacy World Chalice, then you get him engrave. It's very easy to get this set up like very, very consistently. More so than it ever has. I remember I would play this deck and mess around with it, and only on like 70% of hands I'd actually be able to like consistently get this card set up early enough. But this card's crazy. So its 2 main effects are, during your main phase, you can set any World Legacy spell or trap directly from your deck, but it cannot be activated while you have no World Legacy monster in your graveyard. So we're gonna put, World Legacy World Chalice engrave, so that's not really a problem. Whatever. So you're either setting the Reborn spell or the Quick Link trap or the Counter trap. It really just depends on how good your hand is, as well as like your situation. If you're trying to push, you probably just go for the spells that you can just kind of like put more bodies on field. If you're trying to set up interruption but you can't get the co-link, you go for the link trap. And if you have everything, you go for the counter trap, because it's the safest thing. It's the stop any one thing that's scary, which is cool. And then its other effect, if this link summon card is sent to the graveyard as link material, you can shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. Non-targeting shuffle a card into the deck, insanely strong, especially since we have multiple ways via IP as well as the quick link trap that gets this card engraved on the opponent's turn as a link material, and then shuffle their card back. Insanely strong. This card's crazy. This card is so crazy. It's also 2,000 attack. It takes any 2 monsters. It's very generic. I love this card. It's one of my favorite links in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! IP Masquerena is just basically there because it just helps with interruption, right? You set it up with Lib, it gives you a quick link, really good. And then the last one here is Pit Knight Early. This card is also really spicy to me. The reason I like this card is because it gives you a co-link. Unfortunately, the way all of our links work, or at least the main link, is you're usually summoning Elf up top and he points down diagonal, which is kind of awkward because there's not a lot of good links, especially link 2s, that point up diagonal. And especially when you lock yourself into link 2s, we need a generic link 2. This guy takes any 2 effect monsters that can co-link. And not only that, but he also has a decent effect. Because if the monster he points to, or a monster he points to, activates its effects, he can chain to that, negating a monster and making its attack 0. It's pretty good. Decent, adds to an interruption, so you go like Elf Reborn something for follow-up, while also triggering early to negate something, and he's co-linked, so he now is making whatever the counter trap you set off of this live, because the monsters have to be co-linked. They have to be pointing to each other, not just a monster pointing to another. So yeah, I'd love to have another option just outside of this, just in case, but it is what it is. He's definitely the best link 2 option that I know of at this point. Maybe I'll dig a little deeper. Maybe there's some spice. Again, I'd like to fit like Phoenix or some other danger in here, or not danger, Nightmare in here. But again, space is like really tight. I'd even like to play triple Sprite because we're on like the Runic build. So for the grind game, that could definitely come up. But you know, at least the World Legacy cards like add their own follow up to us anyway. So like we're fine. And for the big links, Unicorn, Appaloosa, Unchained Abomination. This is basic. You're making this off like an IP play or the quick link play. Really nice removal, especially if you're making it with Lib, because then you're getting a targeted shuffle with this and then a non-targeting shuffle with Lib. And this could be co-linked with something depending on what you use. So you do get a redraw as well, which is really spicy. Then you have Appaloosa. Yeah, just another option. Just, you know, being able to stop that, still have something. Well, I guess Pixies doesn't necessarily help this, but if you have like another quick removal on top of this card, it could be huge. Or if your opponent tries to already go battle phase, but then you use Lib to like shuffle the monster they were trying to threaten you with, and now you just have 2 monster negates as they're forced to go into main phase 2, is pretty good. And then Abomination. This card's really good in a lot of Runic builds. We've seen people trying to play this just because the Runics can kind of force you into a really long grind game, and the one thing you can't allow is your opponent to amass resources over those turns and eventually wait to push because they know you can't for a couple turns. And so just summoning this guy and being able to pop a card, pop 2 cards, pop however many cards every single turn is crazy. And also like there could be rare scenarios where you have like the Runic quick play that pops a special summon monster, and then so like making this guy's even better because you make him, then you quick pop something with the Runic spell, and then this pops another card, and then it pops another card on end phase. So your opponent's just losing everything. There's no way they can keep up with it. So really cool card. There, the only Exceeds I play are the Gigantics. I don't even know if 2 of this is mandatory, to be honest. This is potentially a cuttable card if I wanted to find other links to definitely make room for. Usually you're just making it turn 1, but it could easily get negated turn 1. So that's the argument for playing the second one. If like you didn't open your way into the World Chalice engine, being able to like connect to it with this in a later turn to get that going could be huge. But like there's an argument that there's only one necessary because even just playing Runic Sprite can get the job done. So even if that does get negated, it's just baiting negates at that point. And then the 2 Hug-In. Jerry's fine. He's a cool utility card. I just don't expect him to come up all that often, to be honest. So this one definitely to me is by far the better option out of the 2. So yeah. Yeah, this card's awesome though. Giving you protection on certain stuff as well, especially like well, that doesn't even make sense. I was gonna say like if somebody tried to pop World Legacy World Chalice, but then you can protect him with this, but he just says if he leaves the field. So even if he gets like banished face up, he still triggers, I believe. So crazy. But yeah, she's still great. She's a level 2 extender. She gets you the search for the field spell and also protects the rest of your board if you need it. This card's awesome. So yeah, that's I think mostly it. Definitely gonna have to get in the lab with this one. I'm actually really excited about this. It's not all that often that I really feel like I'm truly onto something. I felt like I was very early onto like the code talker train, and because like I just couldn't find what I was looking for on like how everything was going with there. Nobody really messes around with World Chalice, but every time I upload a video on it every year or so, like people seem to be interested. So it's like nobody's messing with it because they don't think it can do anything. But hopefully this video catch on a little bit, get a little bit of traction. I'd love to see more people at least giving a look to this variant, because I really believe it can actually play right now. And I'm very excited to get out and testing with this deck to really see what it can do. Because I definitely think it's got some legs, especially with the ban list. Like there was the argument before where you were just like, yeah, but just like Toad's better. Frog Engine's just better. Like, why would you play not the Frog Engine? And now I sit here and I'm like, this is why we have like Lib is like replacing Toad and what it does. So I love it. It's really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on this build in general, every way. I want to know your thoughts on the build, what so far, like the idea behind it. I want to know your thoughts on the ratios, where you think the ratios should end up on some of the cards, maybe some other text that I don't have in the list right now, whether it's in this extra deck, couple links, or maybe other exceeds that I should include, as well as other stuff that could replace some of the World Chalice cards, depending on the ratios you want to look at. I want to hear your thoughts down below. Please inform me down below. But I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Just do it. This is the prime content. This is the stuff we live for. This is the goo. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.